Looks good.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, cool. So I'm go into there. So here we are. Welcome everybody. So down at the bottom, I've got some links. So this idea of PowerApps for kids is a kind of new thing. I'm not saying that nobody's ever thought of doing an app with a child before and so on, but in terms of we're kind of getting hold of the hashtag and we're building out materials and so on. So this presentation, if you like, should perhaps be viewed in, it's at a point in time, and we will grow out from where we are right now. So so the first thing I'm going to do is, let me just see if this is the, yeah, I'm going to talk about me, but not for very long. So I am an accountant by trade, which is why I'm probably not very good at doing things like code and so on. I'm an accountant by trade, so I stopped doing the accountancy roughly about 4 years ago, and then kind of gradually moved further and further into the Office 365 world. So I came in via Excel, goes to Power BI, and then from Power BI into Power Apps and Power Automate and all those wonderful things. So I have a YouTube channel and I put loads of videos, many of which probably don't even get viewed very much, to be honest. All of my best videos are my worst videos. And so there's a weird relationship between the amount of effort you put in and like what people actually look at, but who knows. So my latest video that everyone seems to be watching at the moment was one I did for my mother-in-law, which was about iPads and Teams, and everyone just seemed to watch it. It's like, and like the lip sync went out and everything, but who knows. So anyway, I'm not a marketer, so I don't know how this sort of thing works. I've trained on the Power Platform across Europe. It's been a massive privilege, and as it turns out, it's of its time. I suspect we won't really be doing that much of that in the future, which would be really sad. I became an MVP at the end of last year, and I presented at Ignite at the start of this year as well. So this idea of Power Apps for big kids and little kids, I think it probably, what you'll see later on perhaps is that I've been building dumb things for ages. And maybe in the back of my mind, I had this idea that I'm just going to bring the chat up on screen, actually. Yeah. In the back of my mind, I had this idea that children and Power Apps and learning, there was like a really great sort of mix going on there, and so I thought that was I thought it'd be kind of neat to be able to bring those together. So what happened was obviously the coronavirus hit, and there have been a lot of online conferences and all that sort of thing going on, and the Microsoft Reactor reached out to us, and just reached out generally, said, does anyone want to put a session on? I thought, oh well, now is the time to do some kind of session, and I basically took a punt and said, well look, I'm going to do this like a parent and child type thing, and I reached out. Have people heard of the Power Addicts? Maybe stick a thumb in if you've heard of the Power Addicts and so on. Essentially, it's a group of people that help people out. Typically on Twitter, if people want to reach out, you type in Power Addicts, and if you're lucky, someone will kind of help you out. And I'm in that group, and I said to them, well, does anyone want to help me to run a session? And so Daniel Christian and Reza Durrani reached out. Now, one thing I would like to know is, are there any children watching this session? Because I want to make sure that if there are children watching this session, I would like to make sure that I gear it towards them. Does anyone have a child that is watching this session at this point? If you do, then just say that you're here with my child or whatever, because then I will change how I present this so it's a bit more interesting for them. Okay, I'm not seeing anything there, so I'm going to assume that I'm going to actually talking to a bunch of adults at this point in time. So trying to get my 4-year-old to watch, yeah, okay, that might be tricky. Now, well, we might be able to do some things that'll be interesting. So yeah, PowerApps for big kids and little kids. So they helped me out, and then we ran our first session. That was kicked off by Reza, and he showed us an app that allows you to. It's a matching game essentially. Now, all of the materials are available down here at PowerApps for Kids. So I'm just going to jump out here and just show you. Now we will have a website in the future, but at the moment you can go to Data Spinners, blah blah blah, PowerApps for Kids, and you will be able to go and download yourself. The Reza did the Power Memory Matching game. It's a really good game actually, and it's a really beautifully put together game. It isn't a game that you would start children on. They might play it, but they wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't be able to get them to build it or anything like that. So that was so Reza put that one together. I'm just going to go back to here, and then Daniel Christian. He put together a solar system for us. Now, I am actually going to jump out to these things because the guys put loads of effort into this session. I want to give you a little feel for what the session was like. So if I look on here and by the way, do we have people here? Do we have any people here that have never made PowerApps before? Because I think it's really cool if we can show people how easy it is to do things. Like, so maybe if that would be interesting. So I am going to go and now show you the game. It's called Power Memory, and you can just download it. I'm just going to go to Power Memory, and I'm going to hit play on this, and it's going to fire up. Now, this is an app which is designed for a phone, so it's going to be phone shaped when you see it. And what you can do with it is you can either go easy, medium, hard, or expert. And when you click on it, you press play. And the idea is that you remember. So this is the children's bit. Get the children to remember where the things are on the screen. So you have to remember where all the matchy bits are. So I'm pretty sure that you click on this one here and this one here, and that is a match. And I can't remember the other ones. Oh, I don't even remember where that one is. Yeah, but you basically go through, and I can't remember half of these things are. There was a stork. Did that one there? Oh no. Oh, there we are. Okay, I'm getting there. The cat. I'm pretty sure that was up there. Good. And then what about this one here? That cheese thing. Oh crikey. That just shows you how bad my memory is, doesn't it? No, the stork there, and I'm sort of getting into this. And then you end the game, and you can set your name and stuff, Rory, and put my surname. That was it, things dinging all over the place here. So there's easy, medium, hard, and expert, and you can download that app for free. Okay, would it be okay if I show people who've never used PowerApps how to download this? Are people okay with that? I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so what you would do is you would go to PowerApps for Kids. You'd link to download the app. And by the way, on PowerApps for Kids, there is actually a section down at the bottom which shows you how to download and install apps. You can just run through the video. I'm going to do it now anyway. Then what you do is you go to, this one's a zip file, so it's a little bit more difficult to download. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get you Daniel Christian's app. So he did one of the second apps that we did, and I'm pretty sure that if I go onto the solar system and you click on the app there, then it gets you directly to the place that you need to get to. So and then what you do is you click download, and that's going to download onto my computer somewhere. I'm just going to put it into my download section, go onto solar system. It says it already exists, which is fine. And then you go on to Office 365. And then if you can't see PowerApps, you type the word power in at the top. And then you click PowerApps. If you can't see it at this point, it's because your tenant has told you can't have it. Usually they haven't done that, so you'll be okay. And then what you do is you go to, now this is going to take a while, so you go to apps, and then what you do is you go to, actually I've done the wrong thing here, so I'm just going to go back onto the site here, because what you need to do, it's just only a little trick, but you need to go to, yeah, https studio, and I think you have to have the funny number on at the end as well, because it takes you to a slightly different place. So I'm going to click that, and now it's going to take me to the right place that I need to get to, and I'm going to now download and open this app. Okay, so here we are, and what I can do is now go to open, and then it's a bit just like opening, oh, that was a bit weird, just decided to open again. So what I need to do is to go to open, then I need to go to browse, and then I need to go and navigate to the thing that I just downloaded. So I go to downloads, then I can go to solar system and then click open, and then it's going to download it. I mean, all of these apps are standalone apps, so you know there's no connections that you need or anything like that. You don't need anything else. They're just the apps themselves. So it's now just about downloaded the app, and now I'm in what's known as the studio. And this is the editing space for your app. And we can actually play the app from here. So we can go up to the top right and click play. And that's the thing that makes this thing work. So if I click start on it, then what have we got? We can bring Earth into this. And so what this is, I wouldn't start with this app, by the way. You can play it and that's fine, but this one is, he's used maths to kind of get the a kind of a nice way in which it moves around here, and you can add extra planets along the way, which is kind of fun. So and then once you've done that, you can then just do file, and I can do save as solar system. I'm going to call it 2 because I've got it in there already. And then go down to save, and then save it, and then now that is available within your Office 365 tenant, and then at that point you can actually then share it out to other people because you've made this amazing creation. So you can click share on that, it takes you somewhere else, and all you do is you can either share it to everyone in your organization, which may not be what you want to do, or it will take you so yeah, if you type in everyone, it will literally do everyone. So you can type in everyone. Yep, so everyone in data spinners. Or you can actually do something like tester. So I've got a test account there, and then that will mean that they can actually use it. Now at this point, now that it's shared, that means that if you went onto your iPad or onto your mobile phone, you could actually get that app running on your phone immediately. So you download the app, then you authenticate to the app, and then you go and find the one that you created. So that was a kind of PowerApps. I'm probably stealing a bit of Rebecca Alba's session here. Sorry, Rebecca. Right. Okay, so back to what I was actually showing you, but please, if there are any people that want to just sort of shout out, going too fast, whatever it is, then that's fine. So we started off with the memory game, then we actually did the solar system that was presented by Daniel Christian, and then I moved on to doing something. Let me just see if I can get back to my screen here. It's going to kill a few screens along the way. Okay, kill that. Okay, so that was Daniel, and just so you know, you might want to screen snip this. So we will be doing more events with Meetup and Microsoft Reactor. So if you want to screenshot this so that you can then be part of the meetup, and then you'll know when the next meetings are coming up and so on. It is a parent and child event. It is for parents and children that don't know about PowerApps. The last session that we had was run by an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they made a game for us, which was amazing. So that's kind of what takes us to where we are now. And I'm actually going to now start on the next bit of the session. Should have a quick look at the time. So we kind of talked about how I got to where I am now. And I just have this feeling, it's not just a feeling, I kind of know that that PowerApps is fantastic as a learning device for children. Whether or not they're learning about history or geography or English, whatever it might be, you know, this is like a brilliant tool, and that's what I want you to get out of the session. I'm just going to sort of yeah, I know that we've got some children here today, and that is really good fun, because the next bit of the session is I'm going to show you a game that I made. In fact, you can download this game from the site because it's called the Reveal game. And with this game, you can customize it to, you know, to being your game. So now I am going to jump onto the game itself. It's a really simple game, so you can all kind of play along on this, although I have the feeling the very first image is like really hard. So what it is I don't know if you've ever seen Catchphrase, but basically you have this picture that's gradually revealed over time. So I've set this up so that I can kind of have it as this is like a 5x5 grid. So we're going to play the game now. I'm going to click on it now, and basically I'm going to gradually reveal. Yes, this is exceedingly difficult, this one. So whoever gets this one first is, you know, you're a kind of champion. So let's see who can guess this one first. So all I'm doing is clicking on this bit at the top here. So, well, this is quite a good one actually. Any guesses? Anyone able to guess who this might be?
That's clear.
Good start. Who might it be?
Roger Federer.
What's that? It is indeed Roger Federer in probably a less than usual pose. So so this is Roger Federer, and we can now play the next thing. I can't remember what the next one is, by the way. That doesn't give us any idea. Oh, this is quite good. Anyone got it? Anyone, children out there?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Thank you. So this game here is quite cool because you can make this game your own. Oh, this one is a funny one. Come on, you must have it already.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
It is indeed Donald Trump. Yeah. The less said about this, the better. And if I can go onto my settings here, and I can say the number of images here that I want to have. So you can go into this app and you can change the images in the app really easily. And so what we'll see here is, in fact, why have I've set it? Oh, can I change it? I haven't set it so I can change it. Never mind. But what you can do inside the app, I was a bit stupid. I put a label in. So what you can do is you can download that app, and you can make it your own. And would anyone like to see how to make it your own? I'm just mucking around here. So the way to make it your own is you go into the app. So you go on to, there it is, you go to the Reveal game, you download it as usual, as we did before. And then what you do is you go on to, I'm just trying to go into, get onto PowerApps and just show you that this is some tremendously customizable. I've made it super simple for you to customize and kind of like have a game with your. Because I think it'd be so fun if you just like did like members of the family or something like that. So I'll just do Reveal. So as I say, this is quite unstructured presentation. It's not, you know, it's supposed to just kind of like. It's supposed to kind of like just show you that you could do something with your child or with children or with, you know, like at a school or something. And we will see that whilst this is a trivial app, there are more interesting apps that you could make. There's so many apps that you could make. So I'm just going to show you now how you actually customize this app to, you know, for yourselves. So there's actually only about 13 slides in this presentation, so it's kind of easy for us to kind of jump out into different things. So here we go. So I'm in the app. I'm now in the editing option, and I'm going to go to the admin screen down here. And what I can do is this thing here. So unfortunately, I was a bit stupid. I made this a label and not a text input. So I can now make this something so that it's sort of, I can do, I don't know, 10 images or something. But on here, the idea is you can go onto here and you can hit the drop down, and then you can click on something else, and then your app will have changed, and then you go file, and then you go save, and then it's sort of job done. Now, if you want more images inside your inside this, what you can actually do is you can go to the right, you can go here and you can go add an image file. You can just click on and just go and get an image file from your computer. So I don't know if there's going to be any good ones here. This is just this is a flamingo, so I can click open on that, and then the flamingo will come in, and then it's part of the app, and then away we go. So I'm just going to make sure this goes in. Then I can press file, save, and away it goes. But you can kind of theme it in all sorts of ways to make it easy to use. So at that point, now that I've done that, I can go onto this app, and in theory, I should actually be able to see that already this app should be up to date. So this is how quick it actually works. So in theory, when I click on this, my flamingo is going to start coming in. Now, bear in mind, this would be available on your iPad or your phone as of now. Like, I think that is an amazing thing to be able to do, that you can spin it around that quickly, that your child could, instead of like writing in books and then hand it up, I just drives me mad, the idea that kids do all this work and they hand it to their teacher, and their teacher marks it, gives it back to them, and then just goes in a drawer. I just think it'd be so cool to be able to build stuff. So that was the reveal game. And that was kind of because there was a few children in the audience. So as you can see, I have got loads of things on my screen. So we did the reveal game. We did the session 1 summary. You can actually download. You can actually see the session 1. You can actually see all of the session 1 if you go to this YouTube link. So you may want to take a photograph of the of this so you can get there, because it's not on my channel. So next, so I had, as I say, Reza did the pairs game, Daniel did the solar system, and I did, and this is the bit I kind of want to really get people onto now. I want to get us onto this story. Now, if I click on this, this should take me to the first iteration of the story. And I was just looking down there at somebody thinking that it was Nadal, which was fair enough, actually. So this is my wonderful story, and it's super easy to create and so on. And I've made an app that makes it easy for you to write a story, or for a child to write a story, and it being an app, and it being quite easy to navigate around. So the way in which you play the story is you just click on it, and once upon a time, and you go next. There was a beautiful village. In fact, there is actually a sound effect. You guys probably can't hear it, but there's like sort of water that's kind of going through and so on. And I've got to get off this. That's doing my head in. So the way in which this kind of works is that from a design point of view, it's really, really easy to use. And you can actually see that the way in which the images work, that you've got the main image, but just behind it here is like a blown up version of the same image. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to see. So I took that one, and the children then adapted that and made their own stories out of it. And your children can make stories out of this quite easily. And and it'll be, I've tried to make it as iPad shaped as I possibly could. So that's why it's not fitting on the screen in the way it might do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you my next version of this app, which you can download. And I'm going to go to story. story. So it was like Story Maker VO2. Now I am going to go to edit this one here because I want to show you how easy it is for you to change what is going on here. Are there any? Oh, you can hear the sound. That's very good. So does anyone have any questions at this point in time? Questions, anyone? Okay, I'll assume that's a no. I was planning playing for time anyway. So this is not a very big app. I mean, I could make it a much smaller app, but to make it easy for you guys to use, it's a bit bigger than it would have been. So you can instead of having images in files, you can have links to images. But in this case, the images are actually embedded within the file. So that's why it's a little bit more. That's why it's a bit bigger, and that's why it's taken a while to open. And I think at this point in time, it's taken so long that that I'm just gonna do it once more because I'm not happy with it taking that long. I'm a little bit far from the internet here anyway, so so we'll see. Oh dear. Right, I need to go onto there and done, and go to there, and then go to edit. And I'll just kill that there. Good. So just so you know, the second session that we did was actually, oh, I'll override that. So the second session that we did, we had two young boys. We had which were the sons of Peter Veenstra. So I'll just jump onto Peter. So Peter Veenstra is a Microsoft MVP. There he is. Is he there? That's Peter Veenstra. Are you there today, Peter? Okay. Well, he came on the show, and he's done some amazing things with me. And there are his boys up at the top there, and that's them during the session, and they did an amazing job. And their session is on the PowerApps for Kids YouTube channel. So if you look for PowerApps for Kids on YouTube, you will see the session that they did, and they were absolutely amazing. They were so good. So I'm just going to check for time and just but they were so amazing. So let me just see if this thing is loading. Well, whilst that thing is just being a pain in the neck, I'm going to go on to this, and I'm going to show you a little bit of what these boys did because they were brilliant. And now they kick in a little bit further along. So, okay. So this is them starting to use the app now. And basically what they did for us was they built the app for us within. They built the app for us. I'm just going to get to the bit where the boys start talking.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. So I'm obviously not going to show all of that video, but this was a 10-year-old child describing how the if function worked. I mean, that's gold as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to jump back now to this. I'm kind of hope that this game is actually going to start up for me, which it won't, because that is not the thing I'm looking to do. Apologies here. Few too many screens, as you can see. Yeah, and it's actually desperately trying to load here. I really don't know why it's taking so long. It's quite a trivial app, actually. And what I'm going to do here instead is I'm actually going to just play the app and just show you that this next version of the app is a really straightforward version. And in the video that I've got, I actually show you how to use it. So it's a bit dumb, isn't it? It's called Toast. So it is actually multilingual though. So I thought, wouldn't it be really good to have an instructional video to show people how to do something and use images and so on. So the idea is making toast, because everyone knows how to make toast. And you kind of like, we went through and talked about what the next steps were. So if you're there with your children, the idea now is that you say, well, actually, what do you need to do next? You go to where you keep your bread. Do we have any children on the line that want to kind of chip in? Well, what would you do next? Okay, so you'd go to get you keep your bread, and then you'd get the bread out, and then what would you do next? You would open the bag, and then what would you do next? You might you'd take a slice out, etc., etc. But the reason why this is cool is because, as well as all of that, this is actually multilingual. So I can now kind of click my language too, and then go back, and actually I can now show that this is actually in a completely different language. So you could use this in order to teach children a different language. And what's cool about this is, because it's an app, you've got that repetitive quality to it that means that you could use it over and over again. And if you're a teacher, and if you were clued up enough, you can actually know how many times your students had actually logged into the app and actually tested it out. And I think that would be quite good, because kids like that sort of thing. So that's this app. Now, if you watch the video, I actually explain how to use the app and so on. So I'm not going to go into that at this point in time, because I've got other things that I need to get into. So yeah, that's still loading. Let's just assume that it's not going to load. And I'm going to kill this one here. And this is the presentation, so that's okay. So I did the toast thing, and you can download it from here. So if you want to download it, that's fine. These are all free to download, obviously. And I use GitHub because it really is a brilliant place to keep these sorts of things. And so my question now is, like, can we go deeper than this? Can we go deeper than just you know, English or whatever? And I've got some really cool stuff that I can show. I'm gonna try and show you that like this is how deep you can go. We sort of covered English. Should have my Shakespeare app. Yeah, so this is my Shakespeare app. Now this app is actually 12 meg, right? It's 12 meg in size, and this app has got every single Shakespeare play inside it. I can't remember where I might have published it already. In fact, I have. Now I don't know how long this will take to load. It'll be the usual thing about how far it is from the internet and so on. But it actually is a really tiny app. So I can go into this app, and I can actually go onto the play that I'm interested in. Click on the thing there. Hold on, Macbeth. Click in there, and you got the whole of Macbeth. You can choose which character you want to be. So I'm going to be the first witch, and I'm going to click Start Play. And it's not actually going to play it. It's just going to show you. But what this does, it actually shows you your character. So it's easy for you to kind of know which character you're in. So when shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or rain? But you can then, if you're a teacher, maybe you'd say, okay, well, we need to get to Act 1, and it needs to be scene whatever. Act 3, scene 3, and then it would then just, you know, redo itself to this. But this app has got all of them. It's mental. So that's Macbeth. Now, I wanted to come off this and see if this is an app I made a long time ago. I would probably make it quite a bit different now, actually. And the purpose of the app is to show people. No, it's just kind of fun. This app, it did all sorts of things in the end. The idea was that you were supposed to go on this trip, and you could sort of see photos of where you were on the trip and so on. And so what you do is you go into the app, and you and you kind of click on the child, and then you say, well, actually, I want to do Darwin, and then I'm going to play history. Now, I did have a problem with this earlier on, so it might not work. Yeah, it does actually work. But this one here is cool because this one shows movement apps, and there are people that are an awful lot better than me at movement inside apps. But this one here, if you click play, you can actually, you can actually go along with Darwin, and you can go and see, you can actually, you can physically move with him along the map and so on. So you kind of go click and you go play and you go to the next, next. And so so if I was a teacher, I'd be talking about the fact that, that Darwin, when he started out, he didn't know what he was going to be, and he was potentially going to become some kind of reverend or something like that. But as it turned out, he kind of got in. This was at a time when there was this mixing of religion and science. It was very, very. They were close to each other. But actually, I would probably say that maybe towards the end of his lifetime, then they started to kind of part company. In particular, because he did question the age of the Earth by the time he'd kind of finished. But I think this idea of being able to hit the play button and be able to move between the different places is quite cool. But you can use it in different ways. So you can kind of go back here, and actually you could then actually look at you could look at Hannibal and how Hannibal went around. So Hannibal it's just a different thing. It's a different map, but you get to see how he. This is such an odd pause I'm getting from this thing, but this shows him going around Europe whenever he did it in 3rd century BC. So you can kind of press the play on this, and I think it's a way of you could make some really cool lessons out of this if it was me. So and you can do things like, because it's PowerApps, you can do things like you can add sounds to it. So yeah. So actually in some of these battles, they actually, if you go to kind of click the play button and so on, in some of these battles, they actually had people, and you actually had elephants as well. So I think that, to me, I think that the scope for us to be able to create some cool learning experiences is quite significant. And not only that, is if you kind of go into the admin mode, you can start adding your own. You can actually start adding your own kind of new intersections. So you could have a lesson where you said, well, you can place the marker. And so if I place the marker now, it's a bit weird how it works. And if I kind of come off the admin mode, then you should find that if I'm just going to go, I'm going to go last. Oh, I'm going to reset it. But now what should happen is that this thing should, I'm just going to go next. But what you should find is that this then travels to whatever that dot was that I kind of placed. Maybe I did place it there. I'll go next. I've placed loads of dots by the looks of things. But you can essentially, this actually connects to a SharePoint list. So you could have a lesson where you gave the children all the places that Hannibal went to, and they had to actually plot it on a map. I think that would be brilliant, and you could sort of say that when it was, I think that in terms of learning, it would be a brilliant learning experience. So, so that I'm kind of getting towards the end of the presentation here. So I'm just going to do a little check back. I think at this point in time, what I'd like to do is to talk a bit more about what we're trying to do with this whole PowerApps for Kids thing. In fact, I'll stop here, and I'm gonna put this to the floor for questions at this point in time. Does anyone have any questions on what they've seen so far? Like even technical questions about how did you do this and how do you do that and so on. Anything, I'll be happy to answer. You must have one, Raz. Okay, so how many people do we have out there that have met that questions? I mean, I'll keep taking questions anyway.
I've got one. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I've registered as a STEM ambassador, right? So I haven't been out yet because obviously, you know, we can't go to school at the moment. This would be ideal, right? To show children, you know, the power of technology and things that they could easily do, right? Or feel that they could be involved in. In terms of like, you know, the tenant that you might use for doing this, would you just spin up a trial? In that,
I mean, in an ideal world, I think I would. A lot of certainly both my children's schools have got Office 365 anyway, because I just think that if you could spin up a trial and so on, but then as soon as you left, the learning would stop, you know, and then
sure.
you know, and then that wouldn't be as good for them. So in an ideal world, I think I would be trying to engage with the IT people to say, you know, can you make sure they've got, you know, PowerApps available to them?
Okay.
I guess there's a bit of a risk in terms of, you know, people building apps and so on, but, you know, it's not as if they stop and make an Excel spreadsheets and so on. I mean,
sure.
My kids are getting good at using PowerPoint and so on, but, you know, PowerPoint, it's not very good. It's like, what does PowerPoint lead to? Is more PowerPoint.
Yeah.
That's all it leads to. So that's why in this session today, you've not seen any PowerPoint at all. You've seen presentation of information, but at no point was it a PowerPoint. It was a Canvas app sitting on top of the Common Data Service, where the images were sitting inside Azure Blob Storage. So this is proper. Like, it's possibly not the best created thing ever, but it's a real thing. And so I'm just going to dismiss on that. Yeah. So I mean, by all means, if you are looking to do that sort of thing, you know, look me up and you know, and we really need, I'm going to say we need help. We need more people. I think that you just one person, you know, creating stuff and so on is one thing, but you need lots of people creating really, really high quality content. So we will have a web. I've already got the PowerAppsForKids.com and PowerAppsForKids.co.uk. So eventually, you know, we'll have a website and where we've got high quality content delivered in a safe environment. So I don't want any of this advertising or anything like that on there. It's going to be a good, you know, good environment for them. So yeah, please look me up and you know, and get involved.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I definitely will. Thanks.
Cool.
And just to add to that, Cheryl, you mentioned about how do you go about getting access? Have you heard of the PowerApps community plan?
No.
So it is a free community plan that you can use for your personal use. As long as you've got a Microsoft ID, essentially what you can do is sign up for that community plan, and that gives you access to what you're looking at right now. So the screens, the Power Platform screens, the Power Apps, the ability to create Power Apps and flows, that's all possible through the community plan. So there you go. Thanks for that. Yep. So there you go. So that's the link.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yep. So the caveat to this is that you do need to sign up with a Microsoft ID. That's the only caveat. Yeah. I know there's a workaround that Donna Sarkar shares. Rory, you know this very well as well regarding there's a caveat. So if you don't, for example, have a license, but you want the full-blown features of all the different apps, then there's a trick that Donna Sarkar does, isn't there, Rory, where she signs up a free trial of Azure and then signs up for lots of free trials and then extends them. So she ends up getting a full year's worth of like access or something like that. I'll definitely dig out the list for the link for you, Cheryl. But there is some really good tricks to be able to get access to all these tools without having to pay for anything, especially when you're obviously helping the community. I myself am also a STEM ambassador, and those there are ways of getting access to all of these apps and the Power Platform to be able to start using it just for personal use. If it's not for business use, if it's just for personal use, for showing people how to build stuff, then there's definitely ways of getting access to these tools completely free. I will post them in the chat in a few minutes. There you go. So Sabrina,
fantastic. Thank you.
Well, that's useful, and that's the thing, isn't it? That it's one thing to be able to teach children for an hour, but they have to be able to walk away from it and then be able to choose to extend their learning if that's what they want to do. I assume that the community plan is that it's that you end up with your own environment and all that sort of thing, but obviously it can't reach outside itself. So I think what you'd end up with would be something along the lines of this sort of a thing inside your tenant.
Rory, I see a question from Nira Set. So she's asking how you can share apps. Can you show how you can share the Canvas apps?
Yeah, sure. So I probably did it a bit too quickly earlier on. So if I go to my I've actually got a PowerApps for Kids environment. So an environment is a container for all your apps and flows and so on. And I've got different things in here. And this is the game that Leo made. And if I go to share, you literally go onto it, you click share, and then there are better ways of sharing things, but you can just put the name of the person that you want to share it with, which is sort of Tester. So if I can kind of put into Tester, and then I just click share on that. And I think the common misconception, if you like, with PowerApps is that it's something that you can make available to someone who is outside your organization. Now I think for the most part, you should just imagine that it is something that only exists within your organization, or effectively for the kids within their school, and that you're not going to go on to the app store and find that app. It's just not going to happen, because you always have to authenticate into your Microsoft tenant, and then that becomes available to you. So all you have to do is literally click that, then click share, and then that is shared with them. There are other technical aspects of it. So you share the app, but if it has data connections, then you may need to share those as well. But I think at that point you'll know when you need all that.
Rory, I see two questions more from Ritesh. The first one is, can you please also explain what is export package?
Okay, so an export package, there's two ways of exporting an app. So one is that we've got a bit of feedback here. Okay, so there's two ways of giving an app to someone else, as in of exporting an app outside your organization. So the first way is the simplest way, arguably, is you just kind of go to the app. In fact, you have to be inside the app in edit mode, and I don't think I am in edit mode. So if I go onto the app and then I just click edit on that, then I just do save as, and it creates and I put it onto my computer, and it's a .ms app file. So hopefully I'll get the chance to do that in a minute. But the other way of doing it is an export package. So what happens is you then do an export package, you do an export. But, as far as these trivial apps are concerned, demo export package, essentially it's two ways of doing the same thing. But it makes a difference if you've got flows and connections and so on. I would say that this is probably a better way of doing it in the future. So I'm just going to click create new, and then click export, and then it's going to create a .zip file, and so you can see it creating the zip file. So the way in which you get a a zip file on is slightly different. So it's downloaded it now. I click save on that. And then when I click onto the apps, so this is the other way of bringing an app. You go import Canvas app here. So click import Canvas app. You go upload zip package, and then you go and navigate to it. And there's my demo. Click open, and then click import when it finishes doing its thing. But there isn't a concept of installing anything on your mobile phone. The way to get it onto your mobile phone is you get your mobile phone, you download PowerApps onto your mobile phone, and then PowerApps becomes a window into all of the apps in your organization. So I'm just going to click import on that. And then, in fact, it's going to import it into this PowerApps for Kids thing. Yeah, I've got an application with that name, so it doesn't love me. So reveal game demo vid, and I'll click save on that, and that's import. So does that answer your question? So you don't install an export package onto your phone at all. You just log in.
Thank you so much. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? We're probably sorry.
Rory, yes, spot on. Yeah. So you've on cue, and so yes, so we're about to welcome Rebecca. Guys, before you go, last minute, Rory. So if you just want to do a last reminder regarding PowerApps for Kids, how people can get signed up to PowerApps for Kids.
Yeah, so I think in the first instance, Twitter is a great place because we're going to be tweeting things out. So if you just type in PowerApps for Kids up there, you're going to get to all our the things that people are doing. And if your child has made an app or anything like that, if you do anything app related with a child, just put it on here and then hashtag it with PowerApps for Kids. And then you'll come and join us. Maybe your child wants to present something like Peter Vinstra's children did recently. So I think that we want to claim that hashtag. The other thing I would request, please, if you can subscribe to the channel, please, because when we get to 100 subscribers, then we can claim that for ourselves.
Let's support the movement for PowerApps for Kids, everyone. So please remember to, if you could post the link in the chat, please, that'd be great, Rory.
Cool, no problem. I will do. All right, then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. And before we welcome Rebecca, it's time for the event introduction once again. So we will play our event introduction for the next 2 minutes, and then we'll be ready for Rebecca to join us. So